The reason Robinhood's my favorite product is because it's a product that I use all the time. I started investing when I was 16 years old. And if you don't know what Robinhood is, it's basically a zero commission trading platform. So you can go in the platform, you can buy and sell stocks and options. And the reason that I like Robinhood is one, because it's innovative. With other platforms like Scottrade, which was the first platform I ever used, you had to pay $7 every time you wanted to buy or sell a stock. But with Robinhood, it's absolutely free every single time. And they are currently the only platform that offers that. The other reason I like Robinhood is because it's super easy to use. It's just it's very, very simplistic. Whereas platforms like TD Ameritrade they're very complicated, and you have to go through a ton of different steps to do a very simple action. But Robinhood is just a really easy to use app because it's minimizing the amount of steps it takes compared to other platforms. Another reason I like it is just visually, it's incredibly well designed. The UI is really, it's fantastic. It's simple, easy to use, whereas the other UI, similar, like other platforms like TD Ameritrade, they're not appealing at all. The colors aren't appealing, the shapes, nothing really goes together, whereas Robinhood, they do. But that's really why Robinhood's my favorite product, and it's because it took something I love to do, investing, and made it simpler. Now now I have both an app for it, and I also have the web platform for Robinhood, but I love Robinhood. So by improved, do you just mean make it better for users in any way? For example, really just trying to solve one of their pain points and give users a better experience? Or are we trying to solve for something specifically like improving monetization or something along those lines? Okay. Do we have any constraints such as engineering resources or time frame? Great, okay. So the way that I'm going to go about improving Robinhood just for like the general usability of users and giving them a better experience is one, I'm going to start with the users, and we're going to focus on the users within Robinhood to target. And then the next step is we look at some of the pain points they're currently having and how we can make better. I can really speak to that because I personally use Robinhood. And finally, we're going to come up with solutions for those pain points. So I really think that Robinhood has two types of users. I think one type are retail investors. Another type are professional. What do I mean by those two, in case you aren't familiar, is retail investors are the people who just invest casually. That would consider like me and you, who are just going in, we buy a few shares of Microsoft or Google stock, hold it for a little bit, sell it, or casually we just go in, buy and sell something really quick, but we're not doing it for a living, we're not doing it professionally. We're just the casual average investor. Then on the other hand, we have professional investors, and those are the people who are day trading for a living or making investments for a living. This would be a hedge fund or someone who's day trading for a living, and they're day trading anywhere from hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars. About what user group we want to focus on, I want to rate them on two factors. I think the first is user impact, and I think the second is essentially potential monetization / size. And what I mean by these two things is, to clarify, is user impact is really how beneficial is it going to be for them? Can we significantly make their user experience better for that one group? And then potential monetization size kind of looks at the scope, as in if we had 100 users on our platform and one had 99, one segment had 99, the other one was 1, we would probably target the 99. And that's kind of what this looks at, which is what's our potential to monetize that user base, and then what is their actual size in numbers. So starting first with user impact, I think Robinhood, really what it comes down to is our value proposition is towards retail investors. Basically, if you're a professional investor and you're trading hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars, $7, which is like the average trade commission for trading platforms, is a joke. Like, that's a rounding number to these. People don't even round to that last number probably because it changes so frequently as stocks fluctuate. So I think Robinhood is really a platform built for retail investors. That's going to be the largest user segment on the platform. Whereas with professional investors, they're most likely not going to move their entire portfolio to Robinhood just because they get a save on commission trading. I think they're most likely going to be using a platform that's specifically designed for professional traders, whereas Robinhood is really designed for the retail investor. So on a scale of 1 to 3, I'd probably put retail investors as a 3 because they're just going to be the biggest impact, where professional investors are probably going to be 1 because that's just not really where we're targeting. I think if we're going to keep our value proposition on retail investors, that's the group that we're going to want to impact and give a better experience to. In terms of potential monetization side, I think a lot of what I already spoke to relates to this, so I would go with another just 3 and 1. And what that comes down to is that we really just want to focus on retail investors. That's what the platform is made for, and if we want to attract more users, give our current users a better experience, we should continue to really focus on those retail investors. Now that we have our target user, which is going to be retail investors on Robinhood, we're going to look at some of their pain points they have. I think the first pain point that really speaks true to me is it's too easy to trade. And this might sound counterintuitive at first because ultimately Robinhood's value proposition is that it's too easy. They want it to be as easy as possible to buy and sell securities, so stocks, options, and everything. But I think it can also be a negative downside. As someone who has personally downloaded and deleted Robinhood 4 to 6 times, this is definitely something real, because what this is, the user experience relating to this pain point is essentially what happens is you download Robinhood, you put some money in, you buy a stock, goes down a little, you immediately sell, then you start day trading, then you start buying options, and next thing you know, you lost all your money you put in, and you just delete the app. And then 6 months later, you're like, I'm gonna try this again. You re-download the app. And I feel like that right now is a really big pain point, because I know for a fact that same experience has happened to both myself and my friends. So I think trying to think about ways to combat people from just deleting the app when something like that happens, and trying to keep that aspect of it's too easy to trade but providing a better experience is definitely a real pain point. So I think then another pain point they have is not enough information. What I mean by not enough information is that if you're buying and selling stocks, you typically are going to use other resources. You're going to use places such as Yahoo Finance that contains all of a company's financial information, their 10Ks, and their yearly reports. And that's where you're going to find a lot of the information is in Yahoo Finance. But as us, Robinhood, we want to keep our users on Robinhood as long as possible. They right now provide a bit of news, whereas if you're own some stocks, they'll show you news related to those stocks or the stocks you're following. But that's not really a reason that we could substitute Robinhood for a platform. So I think adding information to people to keep them on the platform longer would be a great thing to do. Even do something like a news channel, anywhere where as an investor, I feel more informed about the trades, because right now I could not get all my information from Robinhood. I think the final pain point that I can think of right now is that there's no retirement options. And what I mean by new retirement options is, so I personally have, I think, 4 or 5 different accounts for buying stocks, options, bonds, or any of those. And the reason I have so many accounts is because none of them really do one thing well. And one of the things, I have my personal portfolio with Robinhood, but then I have my retirement portfolio with Vanguard. And I have to go between 2 different websites. I have to do dual authentication for for 2 different websites. When I calculate my finances in the month, I have to use 2 different websites, and it's very cumbersome. I don't really like it. I would rather have one place. For example, I use another investing website, Betterment, and it actually imports the data from all of my other accounts. So Betterment is the first place I check, not Robinhood. Robinhood I can see on Betterment. So going back to this, I think what Robinhood currently is missing, because they offer stocks, they offer options, but there's no retirement option at all. And every other brokerage account, like TD Ameritrade, Betterment, all those, they all offer retirement accounts. So I think what Robinhood is really missing out of these pain points are retirement options. Okay, so when we're thinking about which pain point we really want to focus our solutions on solving, let's go through them one by one actually. So for Too Easy to Trade, I really like this one. The one I do is because that is the one that, out of all of these, this is the one that is causing users to leave. With not enough information, people leave the app temporarily, but they don't delete it. Same with no retirement. People have to leave the app temporarily, but making the platform too easy to trade is going to be the one pain point out of these 3 that are really causing users to leave the platform altogether. So instead of actually going through all of them, I think we should focus on Too Easy to Trade, because if we can solve this problem, I think we're going to ultimately see a higher number of users on Robinhood for the long term. And I think that's going to be the most pressing and give them a better user experience, because right now, over the entire industry of brokerage accounts, I think regardless of how much information we put on Robinhood, people are always going to be leaving to go to Yahoo Finance or Seeking Alpha. And then with no retirement accounts, I kind of personally like having Vanguard. I don't like switching between them to check the numbers, but it's nice that with my retirement account, that's money I just want to put in there and I never want to look at again. I don't want to see that till I retire. So some people might like having those separate platforms, but I really think, speaking to other people and my friends who use Robinhood, that Too Easy to Trade is the biggest pain point of these 3. So if it's okay with you, let's focus on this pain point and we'll